Hi, everybody. I wanted to give a little bit of feedback in my capacity as a dialect coach on last night's rehearsal. But I think I've identified a few features of the Mississippi Delta accent that we can bore into, and thereby avoid falling into the sort of pitfalls of the stereotypical Tennessee Williams accent, which I would like as much as possible to stick a stake in the heart of that thing. One of the biggest tells for that, for Southerners, is when we go to a non-rhotic R sound. So it's this very kind of gone with the wind kind of talking, and you don't say your ah sounds at all. That particular accent persists in traces in a few aristocratic families on the East Coast. And there are a few places where you can find much softer R coloring or rhoticity. That's what I'm talking about when I say rhoticity. But for most, especially white Southerners, from the 20th century onward, rhoticity, R coloring, is a feature of the speech. So I want to try to talk about some ways to approach that. One way you can think about rhoticity is that in the stereotypical plantation accent, the R is going to open outward. So if you take a word like pear in Scarlet speech, plantation talk is going to go pear and open out, pear, almost like you're casting it out. But in this dialect, it's actually going to pull inward, not pear, pear, pear. Quick note for Dolly and Eva, there are a couple of places where Williams writes dialect into your text, and seems to me asking you to drop R coloring or rhoticity. Now, I noticed this last reading that happens in its most pronounced form when they've been in the same room as Sandra for a bit. So to me, there's a bit of imitation and pretense going on. They've been around this fancy rich lady. Now all of a sudden, I want to talk like her. But they can't quite keep it up. And I think that it can almost have that pseudo-comical effect when they put it on. And they don't always put it on. They're inconsistent about it. So, I think a smart thing to do is to concentrate on when they are being theatrical and they're trying to put on airs above their own station. Then, sure, lay it on thick. But most of the time, I think they're gonna talk like most everyone else, and they're gonna say ours. Just that's my suggestion. In a lot of African American speech in this region, there is a pronounced lack of rhoticity. However, I have no desire to play into a particular stereotype, and I want to resist actually the way that Williams has written Loon and some of the other explicitly people of color in the play. I'm more interested in the sounds that actual people of color in the South, in this region, are making now. And so I'm going to provide a couple of resources for that. So the big thing is long vowels, and I'm going to concentrate on vowel changes because, again, time is short, and I don't want to overclutter. The long vowels in this region take a vowel like O, the long O sound, O. It's going to start out more open and then close toward the end. So instead of O, it's going to go O, O. Same thing with an oo sound. Oo is going to go ooh. So there is a pattern here that you'll notice in these long vowel sounds. It's going to start rounder and more open, and then close toward the end of it. that's going to create a certain length of vowel that that is not typical of northern speech. A is going to go a, a, a. So it doesn't round as much at the end as some of the others. A, rather than a. It starts more open. E is going to be e, e, a, e. I is one of the few vowels that's not going to get much of a diphthong at all. Instead of I, it's going to stay fairly open. I don't want to. Shorter sounds. I is going to tend more towards I. It's a little brighter, or more like halfway between I and E. So, his, for example, is going to be his. His wits were diseased. Is gonna the soft O sound. Is gonna drift toward aw, like AW. Aw, and you'll find places in the text where Williams has written that aw. The soft sound, like gun, is going to be much rounder and more elongated, and it's going to become like gun. It hit me like a ton of bricks. Ton. What becomes what? Love becomes love. It's rounded and a little bit more forward. A couple of pronunciation things. In the very first scene, it's she's talking about meringue, not merengue. Like lemon meringue. Slapped. Summer, not summer. Summer. Payer, loose, God, justice, dolly, kid, foot, square. Oh, word square. Square sounds great. And it's not square. Square. Sandra, like even though you are really softening your rhoticity, still feel free to elide your R's when there's a vowel following. So like a pair of, instead of being a pair of, can be a pair of. I would encourage that. Cross, thrill, bedrooms, thing. I encourage everybody to give Williams more lyrical, poetic passages space to breathe. Don't apologize for them. So, Val and Myra and Sandra in particular have the lion's share of these, where somebody just waxes poetic all of a sudden. And I think that sometimes out of a sense of a desire for naturalism, we can sort of half apologize for those or gloss over them. And I think that just like if you're doing Shakespeare, in Williams, when those images come up, like loose chicken feathers, you want to lean into them. You need those particular words, that particular image to express the feeling. So if you have to search for it in your heart or out in the world, then do that. But I would urge you not to just gloss past it. Hungry, naked. Yeah, Michael, I support naked. I support that. Was, not was. Carved, that word. Love. Job, dark. Oh, this word comes up so much that I have to say something about it. Dispossessed. So, dispossessed. So you got a brighter it on possessed. Not possessed, dispossessed. And because there's so much, like, everybody's got such an opinion about that word, you can load it up even. Dispossessed. Well, that's a fancy word you just used. Stump. Ripe. Enormous, not enormous. Enormous. When the Val is talking about is like trying to hold back, and like a herd of elephants by a rope. Like, just lean into that image. I encourage that. Val and Myra and Cassandra, all those big sexy scenes, just like engage as much breath as possible, especially when you feel like you can barely stand it. Like the endings of those Val and Myra scenes that are all hushed and like the more it's almost like I can't let go of my breath. I'm like, the bellows are so full. There's a kind of heightened breathless feeling that I think will help with that in terms of both the speech and like the sense of sexy guts. God, Lord. So even when Williams writes in something like LAWD, I suggest that for most of the characters, that doesn't necessarily translate directly to Lord. He's helping us out to find that vowel sound that's going to soften the R. The R is still going to be there. It's going to be Lord. So it's Lord. Lard. No, but not Lord and not Laud. Lord. Years. Not years. Years. Blush. Great word. Blush. Guess is guess. Green, sweet, ecstasy. Where. Not where, but where. Now, the end of some words, like tomorrow, that final sound is going to turn to schwa, and you can cheat some of the other vowel sounds in it too. So tomorrow is going to become more like tomorrow. Sand, not. Sandra. Ooh, I wondered if maybe, I never encourage anybody to lean into playing drunk, but I think there might be something about Sandra having to work harder on her consonants when she's speaking in that scene. You're already doing a bit of that, so I guess the note is actually I'm encouraging that. Nancy. I hope that's at all helpful. I tried to break down the vowels at the beginning and then to just kind of yawp out whatever I heard during the reading. I'm going to include resources for everybody. I encourage you to listen to them and just parrot back and forth what you're hearing, what is different. The main things that I was hearing that are not quite fully realized yet is that is sound, get, him. The oo sound, the ooh, look, and ooh are both a little bit more elongated. Our coloring is going to be a big thing, finding the roticity, because everybody should be using a roticity in it, with the possible exception of Sandra, who I still suggest use a muted roticity, and possibly Loon not. I just encourage you to look and listen to the audio resources and just be a parrot. Just listen, repeat, listen, repeat, listen, repeat. Try to get it inside your mouth and inside your ear. Otherwise, great. Looking forward to hearing everybody this weekend, and great work, everybody. Good night.